Soulful Conversations with Bithika Anand, exploring the person behind the lawyer. Soulful Conversations with Bithika Anand and Krishnava Dutt, founder and managing partner, Argus Partners.
Hello and welcome to Soulful Conversations with Bithika Anand, an initiative that is so close to my heart and something that I have been intending to start it for quite some time now. When I started reaching out to my friends and colleagues in the legal fraternity, and I was really touched and overwhelmed with the kind of response I got from everybody. Perhaps this is the first time we are dwelling deeper into finding the person behind the lawyer. So while the guests on the show are all eminent lawyers and personalities, we will talk everything but legal today. So you must be wondering, what are we going to talk about today? So why did I choose the theme of my conversation to be soulful and not talk about their professional accolades, their awards, their wins? Because I think there are so many events, so many, these conversations that happen talking about all about their wins and everything. So we thought we'll do something different. Because I truly believe that all of us are much more than any metric or measure can define. My show will aim to understand the core of these achievers, the metal that makes them who they are, digging deeper into their persona and try to explore their true self. I know this one show or one conversation with them is not going to be enough. Let's see how we take it forward. This is the platform where you look within and speak from your inner voice about aspects that you perhaps have never spoken about, or aspects that you have spoken about but not with a soulful perspective. I'm excited to commence this journey of unraveling the authentic self of these stalwarts that I'm sure viewers are going to love it, this unique show that presents the making of these icons. I'm also very, very thankful to Bar and Bench for being our media partners. And on this note, I am very pleased to welcome Krishnava Dutt here today. Hi, Krishnava. Once again.
Hi.
Yeah, so hi. So I'm going to briefly introduce him also. I think I'll do that, and then I have some things to also talk about Krishnava because I've had a long association with him for many, many years.
13 years.
Yeah, right?
2005.
Yeah,
2004, 5, yeah.
Yeah, correct. Krishnava is the founder and managing partner of Argus Partners and sits on the executive committee which advises the firm on various strategic initiatives. He has led this firm from its inception in 2009, now with offices in Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, and Kolkata. He advises some of the largest corporate houses and their boards on various matters, including corporate governance and board responsibility. Krishnava has been the lead advisor in some of the largest and most complex M&A and financing transactions. He is regularly sought by CEOs, CFOs, GCs, and legal heads of large multinational corporation, government agency, and funds for his he has a very unique mix of in-depth knowledge of law and regulatory matters, which very few people have, coupled with a very keen understanding of finance, accounts, and business issues. Again, very unique. He has been consistently recognized for building Argus Partners into a leading national level firm. Forbes India, in its Legal Power List 2021 and 2020, has recognized Krishnava as one of the top 50 managing partners and one of the top 100 individual lawyers. Thomson Reuters, ALB India 2020 Super 50 Lawyers list recognized him as one of the top 50 practitioners in India. India Business Law Journal has identified Krishnava as one of the India's top 100 A-list lawyers for the last 5 consecutive years. He has also been ranked by various publications such as RSG, Chambers and Partners, Legal 500, IFLR, as a leading legal practitioner in India. I think that all sounds so good and great, and I think you've achieved a lot, and you've come a long way. So before we start this conversation, like I said, we are not going to talk legal at all, and it's all about things probably they're never said in public, they've never shared with any one of them. We would like to hear all those incidents and experiences, insights, and their thoughts, and how they feel on various things. So Krishnava, I have to tell you this before we start this conversation is I have known Krishnava for a very long time, like he said, 2005. And I still remember in those days, I think he was in Amarchand at that time, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah,
Yes,
he was.
yes.
I have always known him as a person, always aspiring to grow, always wanting to do more and beyond. And I am very, very, I'm very proud to say that he has achieved it. He's really achieved it, the kind of firm he has built, the kind of systems he has, and the kind of clientele he has. So I think he has, he's really, wherever he started in 2004, I've seen him come a long, long way. Anyway, so Krishnava today, so you're all set to answer and tell us things you've never said before.
Okay, I'll try.
Okay, so we just want to start with, if you can just share with us one experience which according to you was a turning point in your professional journey, and then we want to come to your personal journey also.
So thank you once again, Bithika, for having me over. Sounds interesting, that what we are about to share. Before I jump into your question and answer that, I must say that, you said you've achieved it, and I think that, it's just the beginning. It's such a long, long way to go. And I think that'll always be. I think as the saying goes, it's always a journey which is beautiful and not the destination. So I'll wake up in the morning and say there's such a long way to go still. In terms of one experience, it's more, almost 2.5 decades of the professional journey. So I don't think, I can say one experience. There's been a multiple experiences which has become turning point. Or in terms of my early professional career, how I moved from purely counsel practice, and sometimes I wish I probably would have been continued in my counsel practice in Calcutta to getting into corporate. I think that was a time when I remember in 1999 was when I was practicing as a counsel, and 2000 I decided that I'd quit, and I was getting married. And the truth is that I was getting married because as a counsel practice, I was getting a lot of grief, but there was no money. So we just needed that. And I didn't come from a legal background, and therefore all my friends were getting jobs in Bombay. And I left my counsel practice, and I decided that I remember it was November and I was getting married in February, and spoke to my wife, and she said, yes, go. I trust you. Whatever you do, you will do well. So I think it started there, and I just left. That was the first part when I left and I joined ICICI. And after that, Lutheran, I remember when my son was 1 year old, and I told my wife, you know what, I want to just go back and start something on my own. Son was 1 year old, and she again supported me and said, don't worry, just do it. That was the second time where I actually met you when I joined Amarchand, and then, of course, in 2010 when I formed Argus Partners. So every single time, these have been turning points, and various turning points which I can go through. And of course, the major one was 2009 when I actually left Amarchand and started Argus Partners.
So basically, your really main turning point was, of course, many turning points, but these many turning points leading to your main turning is your forming Argus Partners. I think that was your coming in a way, because you started on your own, and you probably felt that this was the best way you could pursue your career in your own organization.
Yes, and in the last 12 years of Argus Partners, I had lots of turning points. It's always there, but yes, you're right. That was the one which I find that this is where what I'm meant to be, and the journey of my life.
So you have had all these turning points and working in various firms. How does it feel to be an entrepreneur? what is the kind of satisfaction or some of your aspirations have been met here? So can you share something with us, your life in Argus Partners, or how you feel after forming Argus Partners and what you're going through right now?
So entrepreneurial journey is obviously extremely satisfying, but it definitely comes with a lot of its baggage. And it's only yesterday, I think I was telling at the induction, I said that entrepreneurial journey, you need to have three things. One or two primary things, okay, or three. One is you've got to probably have a little bit less intelligence, because if you have too much of intelligence, you never jump. You'll always analyze,
Yeah, you won't
overanalyze.
take the risk.
You won't take the risk. So I mean, I'm just of course metaphorically I'm saying that, but yes, the first is less intelligence. Second is you've got to be huge doses of empathy. You've got to be an O positive person constantly, because you've got to know to build an organization. You've got to be prepared to give much more than you can take. So there are two ways to be entrepreneurial. Entrepreneurial to make money for yourself, okay, and entrepreneurial to build an institution which will you leave behind as a legacy. I chose the second part, and if one wants to take a step on the second part, at least for the longest time, you'll be giving much more than you can take. And so there has to be a lot of empathy around you. You've got to obviously dealing with people. I mean, that's one of the oodles of not oodles, but you've got to have huge amounts of empathy to actually deal with people. All people are not 10 on 10. That's not. And the third is you've got to have a bit of a thick skin, especially when when you had a card of an institution earlier, doors would open, and when you restart yourself, those doors may not open. So, but you've got to keep on knocking at them, keep on walking it, keep on going from not only clients. I'm talking about building the organization. So it's an arduous journey, but of course it's a fantastic journey to be. And to my mind, there is a very, very distinct difference between entrepreneurial and ownership. You don't need to necessarily own the firm to be entrepreneurial. I was entrepreneurial even in my earlier assignments. If you remember, Bithika, even in my Amarchand times, you say that I was very enterprising in Calcutta, if you remember, right? So you don't need to. So I am saying that entrepreneurial is about the will and the innate desire to create something. That's entrepreneurial. Money is not entrepreneurial, So I think if you have the innate desire to create something, money will follow and everything will follow. I think that's something which you can jump and that you can do in any role. I mean, today you're entrepreneurial in funds, you've got entrepreneurial in large organizations, in large MNCs. So it's about creating value and creating and growing. That's what entrepreneur is.
Yeah. See, what also happens is, you're right, absolutely right. You don't have to be an owner. But at times when you want to create something and there are not too many people backing you up or taking risk on what you want to create, you end up also getting into ownership in a way. So then you are investing in it in your own way, because nobody else is kind of investing. I mean, if people are...
So when I say ownership, I mean ownership in the work. Yes, of course.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So very true that, entrepreneurship can be a little bit of a challenging path that you choose, but I think it can be very satisfying. Very satisfying. And
I think I think entrepreneurship is not a path. Entrepreneurship is you.
Yeah.
I mean, entrepreneurship is within. It's not without. It's not the path you choose. I mean, you are entrepreneurial, and therefore, wherever you're working, you own your work and start creating value and create for yourselves and others around you.
Correct. So also, do you have if you can share with the viewers a memory or a moment in your life that has left an impact on you as a person? Any moment, any memory, any experience that has left an impact on the person?
Yeah, I mean, we've had professional, personal, both, either.
Yeah, you can say, yeah, either or both. We would love to hear
So,
those.
I was about 17 or 18, and I was in school, or class 11th, that was time in the school in St. Xavier's, Calcutta. And I had gone out with my friends in this chai ka tapri outside. We was sitting. And this was actually, 11th, 12th was actually junior college for us in Calcutta that time. So we had the early morning college, and I had to go out for the, during break time. So I didn't, I for some reason, if I recollect, I didn't have the money that day, and I was quite hungry. And there used to be this whole bunch of street kid beggars used to be there. They realized I was hungry. They all pulled in and bought breakfast for me. From that day, I started playing with them, and I used to take them for football class, play football with them. Eventually, I landed up doing an English play. Picked up about 30 kids from the streets, and I remember I also got 30 kids home for dinner, street kids, and made them have dinner at my dining table. To my grandmother was shocked. These were, and all these kids actually. So this was I produced the play, wrote the play. I used to be in theatre, produced and wrote the play, and the play got a lot of traction, attention. Even Reader's Digest came and covered it, and finally, most of the 30, I picked them up from railway stations, from street kids, and then effectively quite a few of them. Some of them actually went back to the streets, but we funded them to join this particular organization and go to school. And till very recently, I was in touch. I mean, for a long time, I haven't. Those kids, some of them have grown up, married, working. It was that moment of that 5 kids pulling in the money, their rag pickers, and feeding me. We probably changed, and about the whole thing of empathy and being very people-centric and understanding other people. I think that was
So it comes that people who don't have can also give something always. Yeah. Sometimes you don't have, but you can still give something, rather than say, I need enough first for myself and then give it out or give it. Yeah, very interesting. Yes. And very nice gesture on your part to have given them some excitement, some good food, and maybe some of them you said has been put into various schools. So obviously this was your turning point, and also maybe brought in some feelings in you, and if you remember, after so many years, so it still has some kind of an impact.
Yeah, it was actually a play called Where Do We Go? I mean, it played for so yeah, it was a great experience. I said that, can you imagine, I was 17 coming up with 30 street kids into my house telling, and I was so lucky. My parents were very, very warm, and these were ragamuffin, and they were all street kids. I picked them up and they said they'll have dinner at my place today. So
so what do you think motivates in your life? What is your motivation in your life? But not just related to work, otherwise also.
No, I think creation, to create. I think the ability to create something new, and which I don't want to sound spiritual by saying which only helps other people, but the fact of whether I would do theatre, as I said earlier, writing my plays or writing my own production or music. I mean, but the fact that even as an organization, the growth, the creation, that today we started Argus Partners in an office which was a 300 square feet office with 2 or 3 people in 2009 when we started it, and every time that we would grow and create, and today we're almost close to 200 people, 178 people with about 150 employees. I think that's the one which drives me most, that you can create and leave behind something which also impacts others.
So some sort of a legacy, you're saying, like some sort of a thing leaving behind for anybody, like whoever is there, to take that forward.
I mean, it's about I think it's about creating certain things and which you're helping creating, which probably eventually helps others also and yourself.
Right. Wonderful. So
I mean, it's if I may say, I don't know whether you won't believe it if I say that, but I probably you might see a lot of entrepreneurs who money is not primary.
Yeah, definitely.
Money is not primary motivator for me.
In fact,
Has never been. I mean, you can
yeah,
ask my wife. It's never been the primary motive. It's always create something, add value. And I would think most entrepreneurs that I met among some of my friends and some of my colleagues who I meet who are entrepreneurs, promoters of big companies now, I think what drives them is very similar when we discuss. It's not the money. Money flows.
Yeah, I tell you, because the entrepreneurs are those people like who can obviously take risk, can sacrifice a lot. The entrepreneurs are not those people who are thinking of money coming in first. Money is much later. It is like you said, to probably create or fulfill some of their inner desire or something they want to really achieve.
If I may add, Bithika, for me, this was perfect as a law firm because there were two passions that I have. Okay, one was the business creation, and the other is law.
Right.
I love law. As a human being, if I am born next however many years, I'll say, because every day it's a new learning for us. Every day you're challenging your mind. I mean, there is no other profession or maybe medicine, but which actually makes you challenge your mind every single time. It's like you're playing a chess game. You're saying, oh, you go back to the provision and got to find a solution and say, how can it's so exciting. Only someone who's really loves law will be able to know how exciting it is. And coupled with that, I've got this whole thing of creating an organization, managing. I think both tick the box, and therefore I was one of the lucky few who landed up doing what they love and love what they do.
Yeah, correct. So when you are obviously running this now a large firm with so many people, what is that one challenge which comes out more prominent or comes out more for you to kind of manage it? Is there anything that comes out more, or or there are many challenges, or is there any one challenge you can share with us?
I think challenges are many. When you're small, you're dealing with far more micro issues. You're dealing with survival issues. You're dealing with everything. When you're small, you're doing everything yourself. When you're larger, I still not as large. I mean, we're bigger, but long way to go. You obviously can't. Then you start getting professional people, whether in HR, finance, corpcom, and then you realize that these are not your expertise. You'd rather give it to people who are the experts in this. But in terms of challenges, as long as you're driving that car, you've got to have a view on everything, I would believe, and so ensure that you know exactly the direction the organization is planning to take and how everyone else is aligned with the same.
So you are an accomplished personality. So in whatever you are doing today. So, but if you had a choice, like if you had a choice for not being a lawyer, what would you be? No, I mean, obviously you're being a lawyer.
So as I said, that when I after my 10th or 11th, I actually wanted to be in the art, films, and not acting in terms of doing, because it was a natural corollary. I was heavily involved in theater. I was producing, writing, managing my plays, and these were at a semi-professional level. So we were doing shows which were running to over months. Shows were running, and with cast and sets and lights and all of that. So when I was when I came to Pune to study law, I actually spent some time in FTI with some of my friends because I was staying next to FTI. So had I not been a lawyer, I probably would have been behind the camera and doing films or something, which God knows, maybe one day I may.
He found another lawyer who wanted to do the same thing. So we'll be seeing some patterns, what lawyers want to do if they were not lawyers. What about your college and school life? Like anything you can share from there, any incident or any, or Or how was it? Forget the incident. I mean, how was your experience like? Did you enjoy the college days more or your school days more? And if so, why?
You've had close friends. So the college days are probably the
Best.
most fun, because you enjoy like an adult and have the responsibilities like a child, you know.
Right.
So as I say that we all go there to get an additional degree called FPH. It was called fully paid holiday in college. Okay, so that's why college can be more fun, and I'm sure anyone who are right now in college doing their hostel life. I mean, it's great. I mean, those
Have
are
you kept
memories.
with those friends
Of
that
course,
you
of
had in
course. I
college?
mean, so school friends, college friends, and the initial job friends are usually the closest friends. Who's why actually even throughout your life you make friends, and of course, I get some of my closest friends are school friends and college friends even today.
Very good.
And actually,
Very good. To keep up with them for so many years. So, any hilarious?
I don't have too many.
Sorry. Go on.
No. So yes, please continue.
Yeah. So, any hilarious or a comical anecdote about something that happened to you, either in professional or a personal life, which you can kind of tell us about it, or which you may still makes you smile or laugh when you think about that.
So I mean, there are a lot of anecdotes when I was appearing and arguing in court, especially when you don't know the etiquettes, and then you'll end up, speaking, or because one thing, I was always just fully charged at and doing what it was. So there was an incident that, there were lines of senior counsels in a matter, and I was the lowest in the pecking order, maybe 7 counsels in the pecking order. Okay. And it was a very, very intense argument in the court. And I had done a lot of research, and there was a point which I was very, very passionate about, which I still am, and I'm very passionate about what I want to put that point across in my negotiations or even with counsel. So, and I remember there were some 6 or 7 counsels now, and this was in the court, High Court, and the senior counsel was just not saying that issue. I nudged immediately this thing, and then I was very junior. I also was reprimanded. I got so frustrated. I was quite loud and said, "Sir, please say this thing," and everyone was shocked, and the judge looked at me, and I wanted to, at that point of time, you wish that the world opens and you want to disappear, because the whole court and everyone's looking at you. And I remember my senior called and said, these are, I understand your anxiety that point wasn't important. And honestly, I wouldn't have done it, because I would have understood. It was just that I was so into it, I didn't realize I was so loud.
But what you were thinking probably could stay inside.
When I did say it, it so happened that for some reason, at that second, the counsel stopped speaking, the judge stopped, there was silence in the court, and my voice reached out loud. So that was one incident that I remember. I mean, there were lots of them. So.
Yeah, I'm sure. So how do you spend your leisure time? What are your hobbies? Do you read? Do you golf? Do you play golf? Do you watch movies? What do you do?
So I am not yet that complete. I have had my fair share of OTT shows, but I'm not that into it. I mean, my family or friends I've seen are far more into shows, because I prefer reading, or sometimes play music, or
right.
or going out playing. So we had this whole cricket thing started. Of course, it's to play some sports, or at least read. I read a lot. There is no day.
What are the kind of books you read?
Right now, I'm reading The Lost War, and I just finishing the last chapter of William Dalrymple's Anarchy.
Okay.
So and I've also recently read Wendy Doniger's the book The Hindus, which is a history of Hindus. It's so we just, I think those are the 3. So Hindus I finished, and the Anarchy of Dalrymple's which I'm finishing.
Okay, now we are having a soulful conversation. So my next thing we would like to know from you is what do you think is spirituality? Do you believe in spirituality? What do you think it is? And if you can share your insights on spirituality as you perceive it.
No, I very strongly and fully believe that God is created by humans.
Mhm.
Okay. I believe in God, so I'm not an atheist. I don't believe in rituals.
Right, correct.
I don't believe in so there is a science to everything. I believe there is, and some so there are two. Religion is defined in two manners. One is the science which has not yet been discovered,
Mhm.
and second is the influence which people want to use on others.
Mhm.
So to my mind, there. But I am deeply spiritual. Actually, as I said, there's so many learnings about our religion. When we speak our language, like I keep on saying, that our language is so scientific that kakagagad we have. It's the path of the journey of the voice. So you have kakagaga from here. I mean, things like I can go out. This is not an interview. You can cut this off here. I mean, I'll explain to
No,
you.
also, no, very interesting because this is something unusual. I mean, this is the topic which I think out of all the things that I've been asking everybody, is a little bit intriguing because we don't get to hear this from the lawyers. We just see a very different side of lawyers all the time, whether they're in court or with their clients or working with their colleagues. And so this is something which is interesting. So you feel that there is some connectivity between science and spirituality. Is that what?
Of course, of course. And there is destiny, there is luck. I mean, there's blessings, there is. So as I
There is
said,
power. There is any
there is
power.
power. There are key definitions of religion. One, as I said, which is beyond science. So once science discovers it or comes up with a solution, it will cease to be religion and become science. Till such time, it's seen as religion, okay, or spirituality. I would rather call it spirituality. Religion is different. I think religion
Yeah,
is a tool used by a few to influence the mass.
right.
Okay, it could have been used for the right reasons in the earlier times because you didn't have codified laws and you did not have constitution and you don't have civil rights, and therefore the sanction of God was used for enforcing norms.
Mhm.
But today it is used, and I'm sure then also, but today more is used for political and influence, mass
So
influence.
it's a very general thing. What makes you happy?
Uh, I think, whilst I am a very social person, I think I'm happiest just with my family and,
With
when I'm
yourself,
there,
and
yeah,
family.
just with the family only and very, very close friends. That's it. Just, or sometimes just with, the family, with the kids. And that's when I'm really happy. Chill at home. That's what.
I think this also happens. Like I see most people who are pretty busy doing so many other things, like maybe running your own firm, building your own firm, and all. Then I think the time that is left with them. Let's be very. After all, you have 24 hours, and the kind of time you are spending at work. I think even I mean, even till today. So whatever time is left goes to then the family and for yourself because that's the time you really have with because you have
Correct,
uh,
correct.
yeah. So tell me something. How much time you're managing a large firm? How much time you spend on management issues?
So significant amount of time. But
So if you have to put it between your legal work and management, how would that ratio be?
so I would put three spheres of work in my life as a managing partner or accountant. One is the client legal work
Right.
because there's some larger or relationships which the client would want you and at least at the beginning of the transaction or critical phases of the transaction or the matter. So I spent time there.
Right.
A large part is obviously on the future of the firm. So, which is growth in developing the firm. How do we do that? And the large part is, and a part is on the administration part of the firm. I must mention that my time on the administrative part of the firm has consciously have reduced because of having more professionals in the right places now. So where there are now professionals who are doing the bulk of the heavy lifting.
Yeah,
then,
absolutely. And with the size, I think you need that. With the size,
it's impossible. It's
not possible for you to also do. And we also normally say that what you can do and others can't. That is what you should be focusing at. Rather than doing things which probably you can get other professionals to do it. So I think it's kind of a waste of. I mean, not really a waste of time. Obviously, your inputs would be way more valuable than what they are giving. But you need to kind of think and see what and how, prioritizing it basically. So so that's good. And so I must say we had a wonderful conversation. Anything you want to say generally to the lawyers? Any inspiration you want to give to the lawyers generally at all levels? Anything you would like to say to them?
Well, not inspiration. I think
inspiration.
Because it's, and I keep on saying it to the young lawyers because it's suddenly the most popular profession. Join this profession when they do. When I tell the youngsters, not because how suits or Boston legal or those things. Once you come in, I see a lot of lawyers who are doing it because they have to do it. You either love, completely, absolutely love what you do,
right?
Otherwise, don't do it, because once you know that you love it, and that's when this profession is A. B, if you are practicing as a counsel, which is purely just the law, if you come to a firm and eventually have to go up to the levels of a partner, and effectively whatever the structure of the firm, there is also a part of the humans, the connections, the building a team, all that leadership, which is also important. So to be the people's person, to carry people, both clients as well as team, to become the trusted advisor. Okay, because law is a large canvas, so you can be either, at least in the profession, but in the most simplistically, you can be in a law firm or you can be a practicing counsel or individual advocate. If you're an individual advocate practicing counsel, then it's just law and nothing else. But if you're in a law firm, other than the law, which is very, very important, you also need to ensure that you've got the empathy factor, the communication skills, the leadership skills, and build on it, because that's the one which will eventually take you high.
Anyway, thanks a lot for your guidance. I'm sure some of them will get inspired by this conversation that we've had today, some of the lawyers. And really, thanks a lot. And it was really lovely having you with us, Krishnava.
Thank you.
Look forward to meeting you.
Thank you so much. Thank you once again for having me over, and all the best to you for this lovely initiative. Thank you so much.
Thank you.